too much, a little too high. But I like it. It's unique.
You got to break it in. That's probably what, your first time wearing it?
First time. Second time. Wore
Okay.
last night. Pearl Jam.
How was it?
Right around, we're Mountain Standard Time, so we're one hour ahead. Right around 10 o'clock, started waning a little bit.
Got
And
it.
then my hope was for no encore. And there's a couple encores. So a little tired this morning. Glad to be here with you, K-Win.
Glad to be here too. Friday morning, rise and shine, rise and grind. Got playoff hunt. I'm K-Win. He's Big Ben. Welcome to the show. Each week we broadcast live on nofilter.net and YouTube TV. More of an audio podcast person? Download, listen, subscribe, 5 stars anywhere you get your podcasts. If you're listening to this live, drop your comments below. If you're listening to this later, drop your comments below. We'd love to hear your feedback. As today we get into, I'm going to talk about the NL Rookie of the Year race. Big Ben's going to
Ooh.
talk a little AL, talk a little football, and much, much more. I'm K-Win. He's Big Ben. Go Missoula Bobcats?
Ooh. You better hope this doesn't air. No one listens to us in the
Ooh.
Montana. It's Missoula, or excuse me, University of Montana Grizzlies, the Montana State Bobcats. So close.
All right.
Close, but they're very different. Bozeman versus Missoula. There's
Is it
there's a
like
little
Seattle
angst.
versus Pullman?
Not quite. Not on that scale. Let's go. Let's go Seattle versus Tacoma.
Ooh, okay.
Each
All right.
each has their own kind of makeup, and one doesn't like the other for certain things, if you would. But enough about Missoula, or excuse me, Montana colleges. Let's get into the NL Rookie of the Year race.
That's right. Who is going to win the NL Rookie of the Year? No. Who should win the NL Rookie of the Year? Right now, there's a lot going on with politics. We don't talk about politics, but I will tell you this. Jackson Merrill should win the popular vote, the electoral vote, and the vote from all you sports writers. I know Paul Skenes is having a good year, but I'm pulling for the underdog here, and I'm going to break down some stats for you. We'll go over Paul Skenes, the good. He's 8-2. He's got a great ERA. He started at the All-Star game. He's got, 130 strikeouts in 90 innings. He's dating Livy Dunn, All-American gymnast. But here's the bad. His velocity is down. His pitch count has to be a little under concern. And his Pirates are dead last in the Central. They've lost, 11 of the last 14? Don't quote me, but it's something like that. It's bad. Jackson Merrill, on the other hand, is second among all rookies in average, first in hits, first in RBIs, first in slugging, and the Pods could win the West. Definitely have a spot in the wild card. I'm saying vote for Jackson Merrill. He's doing better on a winning team. Besides Jurickson Profar, he could be the most valuable player on the Padres. He's in the hunt. We got to reward winning and not reward some guy who throws 100 miles an hour.
Okay. Do I get a counter argument?
Sure. Just because you have a mustache and Paul does, I know you're
Thank you.
biased.
Skenes. All right. So if the Pirates has lost 11 out of the last 14, Paul Skenes has probably would pitch the 3 wins. And I would argue, if you, this is the same argument I would have about the AL Cy Young, but Jackson Merrill is surrounded by phenomenal hitters. He's an afterthought in that lineup. They're going to pitch to him fastballs. They're going to give him an opportunity to hit. Paul Skenes is doing what he can, and dropping velocity from 104 to 101 is not a big drop. He's still dealing.
He's in the 90s. Burnt out,
99.
used up. But look at these Jackson Merrill stats, okay? He now has 5 game-tying or go-ahead home runs in the 8th or later, tying Mel Ott and only trailing Frank Robinson. He's clutch earlier this week, bases loaded double. He hits when it matters. And if you want to go into this whole WAR stat, Jackson Merrill's WAR is better than Skenes. So, hey, stats don't lie, WAR doesn't lie. Give the guy who is playing and contributing on a winning team the nod. Don't give some guy just 'cause he throws 100 miles an hour and has a mustache. Paul Skenes is great. What he's doing is great. But Jackson Merrill has played the whole season at a high level. Skenes came up, what, May? I don't know.
So you want the entirety of the season to factor in, not just some excellence during a, say, 70 game outlook.
Exactly. And then September's coming. They'll probably shut down Skenes early. Jackson Merrill will play all the way through. Give him the 6 month.
So is Skeen synonymous with Clayton Clark in this example then, and Angel Reese, who just set the double record in the WNBA's Jackson Merrill in this case?
Yes. Give the underdog a shot. People
More
just look at
possessed.
the sexy prom queen or prom king.
Okay, you convinced me. Jackson Merrill for NL Rookie of the Year.
Love it.
What other business do you got? How's the NL West?
Ooh, we got a tight race here. Let's look at the standings real quick. Dodgers, as of today, up 4. Diamondbacks in second place, four behind the Dodgers. Padres 4.5 behind. Giants 11.5 behind. Brewers run away with the Central. Phillies have good ground over the Braves. And if we move to the wild card race, everyone's thinking, can 4 NL teams make the playoffs? Well, the Diamondbacks are leading the wild card. Padres are in second. Braves are in third. Mets are in fourth. Giants still hanging in there, 4 behind. But I just said it before, I'll say it again. It's a numbers game. The Giants play too many times against teams that are better, top to bottom, all around. I don't think they can make up any ground. Giants have great pitching. I'm worried about their bats. I'm worried about their offense. The same worries that you have up there in the AL West, Pacific North.
Do you feel your fandom's shifting to the Padres in the home?
And Orioles.
Padres and Orioles. Okay, we've chosen our horses for the home stretch. NL West is the Dodgers just trounced the Mariners. That's not saying much.
Is that the reason why they fired the coach? Was that just it? You go and lose 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh, and then they lose against the Dodgers.
I mean, the narrative around it is an epic free fall to just misery. You're only 1 game over 500. You held a 10-game lead no more than 2 months ago, and you were 13 games over 500. Like something went awry. And I don't think it was the only continuity in that organization on that team was Scott Servais. Look at the players around him. They're vagabond, they're transients, right? They're rentals, more or less, right? So there's no character in the locker room. No one cares, more or less. They're there. They're there on a 2-year contract and they'll get out of there. So I think it came down to, yes, all of a sudden everything added up. And you're going to bring in Dan Wilson, who's a
legend in Seattle.
He's a legend in Seattle. He's a legend. He's a safe hire. He keeps people coming through the turnstiles. There's a little belief. Everyone's familiar with Dan.
I'm not sure about the timing of this because one of 2 things could happen. The team could rally around it and take off and get to the playoffs, or it could just completely implode.
Agreed. And again, I think what the Mariners organization lacks in totality, Dipoto now is the longest tenured Mariner by a long shot in that organization. You just lack character. You lack an identity. You don't know who you are. We thought to bring in Turner and Arozarena would cure all. It didn't. Those guys, the slash line's ridiculous on those guys since they've moved to the Mariners. And that's very poor in that sense. You got Julio's down. People are injured. Stars on our line for the Mariners. I don't know. They need more than just Sage in the locker room. They need someone new. I don't know. A dip spitting guy that's going to hold the players accountable at the plate to produce. That's not happening. Scott Servais wasn't that guy, so he gone.
Everyone talks about the Mariners' offense. I don't think it's the home runs. It's the hitting when runners are in scoring position and getting runners on base. So do they need to look for players who can get on base, players that can hit it in the gaps and doubles? Because you're not hitting home runs in safe go.
You know what I think it is? Service has always had. I'll say this about Service. Service always had to have make do with the players that Dipoto got him, right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't have the guys that maybe he would have liked ideally. It was whatever is in Poto's algorithm, we're going to go get, make work, squeak out a few more or wins, get to that 5,400 mark or whatever it is. And as of now, it's you look at it and you hope that Dan Wilson gets some say, that he can build the clubhouse how he'd like to build it with the people that he wants in it. Because if you're trying to get people, if you're trying to send a message to players that you didn't necessarily opt into or want, then that's a tough go.
Yeah.
And you need guys committed to wanting to stay there in Seattle, and that's tough to find.
So I think they got to go the homegrown route. Like,
yeah,
they got to draft these players like my Orioles and get them while they're young into the system when you can control the contracts, and then hopefully you can get one of those generational stars to stay there and commit, like a Adley Rutschman or a Gunnar Henderson. Like, if you can't sign him in the free agency and you're not making good trades, you got to grow from within.
Yeah, it's not an attractive place, right? We've seen that the idea of trying to pull players out of other organizations to Seattle. It's just not. That's not the formula. You're right. And you look at guys like Colt Emerson, who's their top prospect. He's in Everett now. That team's exciting. You're exactly right. You got to hit. You got some. I mean, between the only two players that you're going to have around, Cal Raleigh's a phenomenal player at the catcher position, then Julio Rodriguez. Those are your only two sure things. From there, you got to go find, to your right, a mix of some young guys and then some guys that want to be there, that aren't, their OPS is above 700, something around there. So tough time for the M's. Astros are who we thought they were. M's won't make the playoffs. I mean, they have a better shot. They have to win the division at this point.
So is Dan Wilson an interim, and they're going to reevaluate him?
Yeah, I think they named, and that's a tough one, right? You're right. If he again, he's just given the players that he's got, injuries and so forth. It's not like people change overnight because Dan Wilson's the manager. You have the same team in front of you, and no matter if you're Newt Rockne or Lou Holtz, you're not going to be able to give the speech of a day, right? Where these guys go turn them around. I think what they're looking for him are people taking to his message. So the way he's going to manage, is he able to make the, in-game decisions of a manager? That's where he'll be evaluated. But I know Mariners fans are happy with this because it's a known commodity. Dan Wilson's been around the organization. He's invested in, winning in the long term. He's not a rental manager brought in to be a change agent. So the organization or Mariners fans are probably happy, but they're still disgruntled on how the season played out.
And Dan's a link back to a successful run for the Mariners, right? Like, he played with Ichiro, he played with Boone. So I think the fans love this one. I love this one. Yeah. Catchers always make good managers, right?
Well, you say that, and Servais was a catcher. So,
take that back.
Yeah, exactly. But it is, I mean, I ran into a guy yesterday. He's like, Mark Kotze? He's like, former players do make the best managers just because they've been through. They understand, they can identify with the player, set expectations. They know it's a long season. They know how to, allow players those off days and so forth. I think Dan will be able to do that as well. He's not so far removed from the game as, say, maybe Servais was. Yeah. And he's seen what works, to your point, right? He's seen what works in the clubhouse. He's seen what works in the routines, the day in, day out, the little things that probably work. So there is some of that. We would call Dan a winner in Seattle.
Love it. You want to talk a little NFL football?
I do. I mean, NFL is right around the corner.
2 weeks away?
2 weeks away, I believe. 3 weeks, maybe?
Two and a half.
Start Thursday night game? What's that first Thursday night game? Yeah. What do you got? What's the headline?
Well, this player is currently injured. He's got a foot injury. He plays for your Las Vegas Raiders. He's out of Napa Valley High School, went to Georgia, generational tight end, drafted 13th overall by the Raiders, Brock Bowers, sleeper or superstar?
Ooh. Okay, Gardner Minshew, right? Here's the downside with Brock Bowers with Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew came from an air raid offense. Tight ends were never used. Never. Never. Now, that doesn't mean that that system doesn't call for a tight end, but you also got Michael Mayer. He wasn't a short. He was a first, second, third round draft pick, I believe, by the Raiders as well.
2 years ago out of Notre Dame.
That's not to say he's not a generational talent. I just don't think the mix right now is appropriate. He's injured, like you said. You got a quarterback that, isn't a franchise quarterback at that. I'll say that about Gardner, even though he's got a mustache too. Brock will be.
That's where you are wrong, Big Ben. I hope I'm drafting with you this Sunday. We have our no filter draft Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. Did you get that text?
I did. I'll be there.
Now, here's where you're wrong, Big Ben. Brock Bowers has only played in one preseason game against the Vikings. It was several weeks ago. I dig into the stats. Our intern digs into the stats.
I dig into the stats of a first.
He played 11 snaps. He lined up at 9 different positions. He lined up in the slot. He lined up inline. He lined up outside. He lined up in the backfield. He had 2 catches for 25 yards. Game-breaking speed. I think they're going to utilize both tight ends in 12 personnel, but they're also going to move Brock around as a chess piece. So I'm going sleeper in fantasy. If he's in the 10th round, you need to get him. And I'm going to say superstar. Like all the great tight ends like Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, Kelsey, obviously, Gronk, big, strong. They can block. They can route run. Brock Bowers runs a 4.5 40. So he's more of a wide receiver than any of those, and he's going to move all around the field. I'm saying he's going to have a great year once he gets over his foot injury.
Okay, so I could see this going 2 ways. Your floor is Taysom Hill. He moves around. He does some interesting things. They give him opportunities in the red zone. His ceiling is what Laporta did last year with the Lions. That's a high bar, right? Laporta wasn't no one was saying Sam Laporta's name prior to the season. Brock Bowers, top tight end, as you said, generational talent that we've seen come. Mel Kiper said he was the best athlete, number 1 overall prospect, no matter what, regardless of position, I think, going into the draft.
Oh, wow.
Somewhere around there. So the thing is, okay, when we both know this, you can be the best wide receiver, but if you got some guy pitching the ball like Brett Rippon, you're not going to see much action, and I don't want to say nothing against Gardner, but he hasn't played an offense where a tight end's been highly leveraged. Go back to when he was at the Colts. Ali Cox maybe got 1 target a game. So they're going to have to do some things different with Brock. Who knows what they do, but maybe it's a slot. Because throwing to a tight end, you got to push him out, maybe get him out near the hashes, let him do his thing.
So you're a gambling man. Vegas has the line. Brock Bowers touchdowns, 4.5. Where are you going?
Ooh, you got to go over.
You got to go over.
You got to go over. You can't cheer for the under, can you?
No.
Throwing the ball, right?
Yeah.
So you have to cheer. 4.5 is a safe. I think that's a very safe over for the season, even if he is injured the first couple games. Because if it's kind of like you can't spend the first round 13th pick and not utilize the guy.
Exactly.
Like you can't, you got to get him his targets. There's, you got to figure out where you can put him, where he excels, move him around, get him the ball in the red zone, allow the fans to go, you're right, that was a great draft pick. That's the main thing you want if you're Antonio Pierce. Get that guy involved.
Luke Getsy, new offensive coordinator, spent some time in Green Bay with Devontae Adams. Anyone but the Chiefs. I want the Raiders to do well. I wish Bo Nix nothing but the best. I hope Harbaugh turns this thing around. Anyone but the Chiefs, please.
That's going to be an interesting division now that you say it, because you do have the storylines around every team are drastically different, right? Yeah. The Chiefs weren't that great last year, but yet they won the Super Bowl. Harbaugh coming into the Chargers. Is Herbert, going to continue to go? Is he stalled in his development? The Raiders are, who knows what they're going to be under Pierce. And then Bo Nix, John Elway. We'll see.
Sean
Interesting
Payton,
division. Maybe the
Javonte
most
Williams.
interesting division. Yes.
Yeah. Like the Chiefs won the division and the Super Bowl, and it's probably the worst offensive team Mahomes has been on.
Mm-hmm.
They had a great defense. They're not going away. They added Xavier Worthy, Rashid Rice. Will he miss games? I don't know. The Chiefs are interesting. The division's interesting. But come on, Raiders. Come on, Broncos. Come on, Chargers.
Yeah, if you are the NFL, you want the Raiders at least a win by each team against head to head against the Chiefs, because the Chiefs are so much better at home. They parallel the Patriots in a lot of ways. Think about the Patriots and Tom Brady. Gronk was the big go-to guy. Then you had your little Amendola, Edelman. Like those are your Rashid Rice, Malcolm Hollywood Brown's hurt for the first few games, but yeah, and then Pacheco has never been someone that just I was enamored by, but he gets the job done.
Yeah.
And you're right, they just win games. They win games, and they're
Mahomes
frustrating.
has looked better without Tyreek Hill, right? He's become
Yep,
more of a quarterback. He's using his weapons the way Brady used to use his weapons. And
exactly.
that's scary.
That is scary. It's a good thing we don't play in the NFL, but we can draft Mahomes on our team.
Yeah.
I do want to talk a little bit about rookie class again.
All right. Brock Bowers, my boy, in there?
Brock Bowers is in the conversation just because he is the top tight end. But again, I think we'll see if Jonathan Brooks comes back for Carolina, is given an opportunity. He was the top running back drafted in the draft this past season. So you look at, between Neighbors, Aduse, the free, and then Nick's now being given the head or QB1 in Denver. There's so much opportunity for this rookie class, and I think every opportunity is a good one. Outside of Nick's, he may not have the playmakers, but he's still got Sutton, Judy, Javonte Williams, Keel. So I think this rookie class, it's going to be interesting who lands on the all rookie team.
Yeah.
But it will be made up of predominantly mostly first round picks. But I think if you're in dynasty leagues, this is the year that you're going to have some decisions. You're going to have some decisions, my friend. But I'm excited for the season due to the rookie class and the opportunity they have.
Does Neighbors concern you because of his quarterback?
I mean, in terms of throwing prowess, here's Gardner Minshew. Daniel Jones he's not even in the screen. That's how bad it is. I mean, yes, you absolutely do. I mean, Darren Waller went to the Giants, and even when he was healthy, he couldn't find the ball.
He retired.
He did. It was that bad. He'd rather not play than play with Daniel Jones. I mean, let's be honest. I think, Neighbors alarms me a little bit. I think he realizes it too. Like, it's been a long time since we've seen a top-tier receiver play for the New York Giants.
Odell Beckham.
Yes.
Probably the last one.
5 years ago, 6 years ago. So, and that was with a completely different quarterback, right? At least Eli could chuck it up and hope. But when you have Tommy DeVito or Daniel Jones getting you the rock, you're a little...
Got your boy, Drew Lock, as the backup.
Oh, I forgot.
Drew Lock will be the starter by week 5.
Drew Lock will just put on a Daniel Jones jersey and no one would know the difference. Let's be honest. But I do. Neighbors isn't in Dunze's in an all right position, but again, he has two pretty darn good wide receivers in front of him. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be like a Jackson's JSN for the Seahawks, where you see some targets, but still the majority are going to your guys like Keenan Allen and more.
And bring on Marvin Harrison Jr.
My fantasy draft, I have a trio of Ohio State wide receivers. I'm hoping to break out. That's the storyline.
Wait. Let me guess. Let me guess who you have. Chris Olave.
Yep.
Scary Terry.
No.
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson.
Wow. You didn't get Marvin Harrison Jr., did you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Whoa, look at that wide receiver room.
Oh, I know. I was compelled after getting Olave, and then I had to get another wide receiver one. So Garrett Wilson was my guy, and then Marvin came up, and I just said, "Let's do it."
Who's
Let's
your
go.
QB? It's Anthony Richardson, right?
Yeah, we'll see. It's a boom or bust for my team.
Yeah.
Like we could easily go not win a game. We could easily win 90% of them. We'll see.
The upside of your team is so
The
big.
upside is there. The upside is there. The upside is there. I'll see you Sunday.
Yeah.
You got a strategy?
Not really, because we don't know where we're going to draft, right? So I have players that I like, but I don't know if I'm going to be at the front end of the draft, the middle, or the end. And you got to draft, in my opinion, the best player available based on the situation. So I know who I like, but it could all change.
Who's the kicker for the Cowboys? Brandon Aubrey. He's going like 4th round. 66 yards. No, 2 QB leagues. You got to go QB early and often.
Yeah, I've made the mistake the last couple of years not doing that. And waiver wire QBs in like a 12-team league where there's 2 quarterbacks, like I was hoping the backup would get on the field. I had Malik Willis starting.
You live and you learn.
You do.
You live and you learn. All right, you got anything else? Jackson Merrill for AL Rookie of the Year. Dan Wilson, we'll see how that plays out. NL West, best division in baseball. Maybe the AL Central.
Yeah, AL Central.
Best division.
Pretty good. Twins are playing well. Yeah.
Twins are playing well. All right, all rookie team. Might be better than the all pro team.
Might be. Brock Bowers, sleeper and superstar.
Sleeper and superstar. Can you be both? You can't be both.
Yeah, you can. Because right now he's a sleeper. I'm saying as the year goes on, you're gonna be like, he's a superstar too.
He's a sleeping superstar.
There you go.
Boom. I like it. I don't know if that term fits, but
we're gonna coin it. Tag market. At Big Ben Kwin _ at Big Ben Kwin _ anywhere you get your social media, Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, whatever the young kids are doing, we're doing it too on social media. Download, listen, subscribe, 5-star us wherever you get your podcasts. If you like to watch us live or on demand, we broadcast each week, nofilter.net and YouTube. Drop your comments below. Email us. Big weekend. I'm going to a white party.
You're going to a white party. I'm going to the butterfly sanctuary here in Missoula. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, monarch butterflies. And that's the only iteration of that species I know, unfortunately. I'll get better. I'll report back.
Okay. Tell my boy Brick I say hello.
Oh, he wants another segment. Brick's Picks.
Maybe next week. We've got college football next week, so he's got to wake up.
He's covering the big sky for us.
Is he going to stream from his desk at school?
Yeah.
All right.
He'll be in the bathroom. I got to go.
Boom.
Boom.
All right, be good.
You too. Later.